Hello and welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. Oak City Tech gives their clients an edge over their competition with web and logo design that make them stand out. They increase your brand awareness and generate leads, which turn into revenue for your company. You can go to oakcitytech.com. Let them know what you're looking for to grow your business. They'll tell you how you can help, how they can help you, and say hi to Drago. He's been a big help to us here. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning, and each week we bring you a small business success story from Triangle BNI. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle, which is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, have 30 chapters and almost 600 members meeting each week to help each other grow our businesses. And our guest this week is Dr. Morgan Lintz, a
Hello.
chiropractor from Askeland Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Morgan, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Glad you made it here today. Got through your patients this morning. Everything good to go? Okay. This is your
Smooth sales.
long lunch break, and then your doctor world to take you back, and you'll see your 18 patients, straighten them out, and you'll be done for the day, right?
That's right.
What do we talked about this earlier. Your industry took a beating up until about 7 or 8 years ago, and then people kind of started to understand it. What do we not know that you guys do for us that we should go to you for help for?
So basically, my realm in chiropractic is pain management. And so low back pain right now is where we get the most attention. But what people don't know is we deal a lot with extremities as well. So we're talking TMJ, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hip, knee, ankle, kind of the whole works. And beyond that, it's looking at the biomechanics and looking at things to prevent future injuries. So if you're wanting to, go run a marathon later this, next
Ooh,
year,
those days are gone.
we can kind of look at that form and
Yeah.
figure out how we're going to put you in the best position.
That's the one thing I wish people, and I wish I had, because I have a bad back and it took me 14 years to go see a chiropractor, but I admit it now. But I go now, I see Ashley about once every 3 weeks. Is the preventative part of it. The one thing that I was just blown away when I learned about your industry, once I finally started going, is you work on infants. And I
Mhm.
thought, what in the world could you do to help a 2 or 3-month-old baby? But it's amazing
crazy.
what you can do. Do you see many of them, many infants?
Yeah, I do have some infants. I wouldn't say right now that is my biggest population. I have a lot of athletes, a lot of desk workers, things like that. That's really taken off. But the kids respond so fast.
Yeah.
I had a kid post automobile accident from a few weeks ago. He had all sorts of issues that he was complaining about, which is sad to see in a young
Mhm.
kid. And 2 visits, he's running around good as new. He's happy as can be. His energy levels are back up. So they respond so quick. It's exciting.
I've found, because I now have to go to a licensed massage therapist and a chiropractor, and
Mhm.
I found I've gotten range of motion back, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
had gone because I hurt my back in like 2002. We were living in Daytona Beach and we had 3 hurricanes right in a row. So my neighbor and I thought, hey, let's just board up each other's houses. And we did. And 2 days later, my back seized up. So I dealt with that
Mhm.
for 16 and a half years before I finally went to see a
Oh,
chiropractor.
Mike.
And I know, believe me, I paid the price for that. Nothing you can say to me made me feel worse. Had to give up
Fair.
golf and running and all this
Oh,
stuff.
no.
But I got my range of motion back and I got the
Mhm.
pain taken away. And I'm amazed at the parts of the body that are totally connected to each other that you would never think, oh, let me just work here and that'll free up that part of the body.
Yeah, and people don't realize that you have a layer called fascia between your skin and your muscle, and it's like a spider web throughout your whole body. And so people will come and they'll point at their low back on the
Mhm,
left side and they'll be like, my back hurts. And I'll be working on their
mhm.
right lat or I'll be working in their mid back somewhere else. I'm like, no, it's right here. It's right here. And I'm like,
Yeah.
just hold up a second,
Yeah.
hold up. And then they're jumping off the table and they can't believe it.
Yeah.
And to us, it makes really good sense. But if you're
Yeah.
not educated in it, it's almost like a miracle sometimes.
Yeah, because my Ashley was working on me one day. She's up around my shoulder. I said, I'm good. I'm good. And then she hit a
Mhm.
spot. It's like, oh, that's new. Where that
Yeah.
wasn't here a minute
Oh,
ago.
shoot.
And she punched her little thing of whatever that implement is called. And
Mhm.
she just popped down on it, went away, and all of a sudden the back started feeling better. She just laughed at me and just said, just lay there, look pretty. I got
Yeah,
this coming. So,
hang out.
and my wife has hip issues,
Mhm.
which affect her knee sometimes. And just working on the back, just kind of frees stuff up, and working on the knee frees the hip up.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
amazed at what is
Yeah.
connected.
Women and hip pain, that is a huge one. And what people don't understand is your feet are your foundation. A lot of
Mm,
women are wearing these heels,
yeah.
flats, these crappy shoes. And so half the time I'm working on their feet and their back pain's going away and they just can't believe it. But same
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
You're using your feet, you're walking, you're standing all day. Bad shoes can just lead a whole chain reaction.
It's tough being a woman sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I've given up on the heel thing and I'm all about comfort.
Hey,
I've already hit
you of
that
all
point.
people should know
Yeah,
that,
I
yeah.
got to practice what I preach.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So, Morgan is in Triangle Business Builders. They meet Thursday mornings at 8:15 a.m. at Trolley Pub in Briar Creek.
yes, sir.
How'd you find that chapter?
So really funny, I had moved here in, what was it, March, and I was looking for things to join, looking at ways to implement myself in the community. And I was on Facebook on a chiropractic group, and they said you should look into BNI. I had written it down, but didn't do anything else
Mhm.
with it. And so later that same day, I went on Meetup and I found kind of just a Thirsty Thursday get together networking event. And I showed up, didn't even know that happened to be BNI. And it was, it was
Yeah.
so it just kind of came full circle in a day, and it was a great time. Everyone was super knowledgeable. There was a really nice turnout, and so they invited me to the meeting the next day, and I didn't even go another chapter. They recommended I do, and
Mhm.
maybe I should have, but I just love the group. I love the professionalism, and I
Mm.
love the seriousness of it.
Yeah.
Because
No.
we're lighthearted, we have a good time, but there's also a point to these meetings every week, and I really
I
like
like
it.
the accountability part
Yeah,
of it because we pay money each year to be part of that.
right.
But not only will you, by being held accountable, you'll grow your business, but you do make friends. So and if you're going to get up Thursday morning and go meet somebody at 8:15, you better kind of like them.
That's the thing, and that's what's really fun about it is everybody's fun to be
Yeah.
around, and it's not just about the referral. I mean, my network has expanded
Yeah.
insanely just by being a part of that in a couple months.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I've really enjoyed every second
Yeah.
of it.
Matt Yablonowski's been on the show. Jed Gronwall's been on the
Yep,
show. So
great people.
give Matt grief just because to give Matt grief.
Yeah,
So when you see him next week, tell him I'm not a Mike. Say, you know what? We just found a better guest from your chapter than
yeah,
you. So
I'll
just
pass that along.
give him some grief on it. I always like to have firsts on the show, and you've got a couple first. One is, I believe you're the most decorated athlete to be on the show,
Oh,
host
good to be.
excluded, but
Yeah.
we won't go into that.
Don't
I've got one varsity, actually three from high school, but you did way
don't
better
make me
than I
look
did.
bad.
You played collegiate softball
Yes.
at Winona State.
Yep.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
You are also the first person on the show from Bettendorf, Iowa.
Yeah.
I found some cool notes on that. We will get into that.
Oh, I'm
Right?
excited.
Yeah. So we'll do that. You were talking earlier. Everybody always wants to know the story of how you got into chiropractic field.
Yep.
And you and I swapped some stories, and there's always a connection somehow.
Mhm.
People don't just wake up one day and go, "Oh, that would be fun to do."
No.
What is yours?
So I first have to start by giving kudos to my dad. My dad was taking us when we were in elementary school, only once a month or every other month as well as he could. And we didn't really understand how great that was until
Mhm.
later on. And so he was somebody who actually knew that you could take your kids in and get them checked out. And we were always running into things. So, but what happened was actually in my prime recruiting time for softball, 16. So that's your junior year. This is when you're looking to make your decision. And I hurt my shoulder bad. So bad. I couldn't lift. I couldn't bring
Playing
my arms
softball?
overhead. It was kind of like it was from softball. I was a pitcher. So, but
Yeah.
it was like not a traumatic injury. It was an overuse injury. And no one could give me any answers. I mean, I couldn't even sleep. I'd sit in the shower and just
Ooh,
cry. It hurt so
yeah.
bad. And so I got an MRI. I talked with the surgeon and he's like, well, we can go in there and kind of make some space, but there's really nothing, very clear for us to work on. So they sent me to PT and,
Yeah.
I'm when I was in high school, it was new for girls to lift. So I'm one of the only
Mhm.
females I knew who lift heavy. And they were telling me that I was weak. And, I'm a 16-year-old. I have an ego. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm like the strongest
Step
16-year-old
over
around
here.
here, thinking I know what I'm talking about. But I found that really hard that all I need to do is lift. And I love PTs and I love surgeons. So I don't want that to sound like a dig on them. It was
Yeah.
just personal experience. So I went to chiropractic at Palmer College, where I ended up being a
Mhm.
student. And they looked at my whole body. They broke it all down. They're like, we've got a weakness here. We've got decreased range of motion here. This is leading to this. My hip was involved. And it was amazing. They made a game plan. And rather than sitting out for 6 weeks, they go, give us 2. I'm like,
Oh,
2?
yeah.
You bet. I can give you 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I worked with them every day. Sometimes they're almost making me cry. Some of it was really painful. But ultimately, they kept me in the game. And so we actually went 40-0 regular season that year. and I've, pitched all the way through it. And so
Mhm.
that was really, really cool. And I noticed that I liked going to my chiropractor. It
Yeah.
made me excited. And so I realized I wanted to be a healthcare provider that people were excited to see. And sure enough, still got a scholarship. So,
And that's the recurring theme because we've had a couple other chiropractors on here, Dr.
mhm.
Ashley Mine and Dr. Steph, who
Yep.
she's from my chapter. And it's the same thing. It's a holistic approach,
Yes.
which for somebody who's had back pain, I wasn't real big on that because muscle relaxers,
Yeah.
I love those.
Feel
Love
nice
those.
real fast.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But but I learned the value of being able to go to the doctor, and I've not taken, it's been, 6, 8 months since I've taken a muscle relaxer because I've started going.
Mhm.
That's what I found positive about that whole experience because you read stories now, people getting hooked on all these prescription drugs.
And that's what's really cool. It's not saying that there's wrong with meds when you need it or getting an
Yeah.
injection when you need it, but some of that stuff acts as a band-aid and it wears off.
Mhm.
And so what's really nice about chiropractic is you are your own human puzzle. Your presentation is not going to be the same as the
Yeah.
next person. And so we solve based off all the things you've done in your life and the injuries you've had. We figure out what do you need and we figure out how we can solve it. And so sometimes it requires you to be a little more proactive and you're going to have to do a little work
Oh yeah.
sometimes. But in the end, the long game, you're gonna be way better off for it. And so it's really exciting to be
So
able to
I
be a part of
did
that.
my stretches this morning, and
Mhm.
I've got to do stretches, and I'm painfully aware of how I sit and move every day, and I will be for
Yes.
life. It's just the way
Yep.
it's going to be. But going to a chiropractor and a licensed massage therapist and doing my stretches, it just changed everything for me. Now I can sit. We were on a trip last weekend. I sat in an airplane for 2.5 hours. Not a problem. And
Yeah.
I couldn't have done that a year
Yeah,
ago.
no doubt. And doctor means teacher. And so I think what the really good doctors out there do is they educate. And so if I educate you on what you can do outside of here
Yeah.
to help yourself, I empower you with the solution. So you're not necessarily going to be dependent on me for your care.
Yeah.
I'll be here to help facilitate care, but you also now have the answers.
Yeah.
And I love being able to do that for people. It's like a light bulb.
And when I talk to friends of mine that go to chiropractors, the good ones I've found, and mine is that way, and I'm assuming you're this way, we're just going to
Mhm.
go with this for the story, is when I walk in and she'll ask me, okay, where are you hurting today? So she can understand me. We can get the lingo correct and the body parts because I have a spot on my right back here that just inflames.
Mhm.
And either she puts a thumb on it or my wife can just do that. And just, it's wonderful. Or the tennis ball along the
Yep.
wall. But that's what I like about it because I walk in there and she'll ask me, how are you feeling? Where are you hurting? And then she'll go on to her regular routine, but she knows that, okay, well, that's a third trip in a row. It's that, and
Correct.
then what are we
Yeah.
working on?
Yeah. And so you're always evaluating where you at today because as
Yeah.
long as you continue to find objective changes and objective improvements, we'll continue along. But if we hit a roadblock and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you keep showing up with the same thing over and over and over again, well, now we got to dig deeper. We got to
Yeah.
figure out are we working with the right pain generator or is there more nerve involvement or more joint involvement or something else that we need to better assess? And so again, just keeps adding to the
Yeah.
puzzle. The harder it is, the more fun.
I know. And thankfully mine is all muscles,
Yeah.
which is it's just straight across the lower back. So
Mhm.
it's kind of easy. I mean,
Yeah. It's
but
good.
that's good to know. My wife has far more issues once you get into the hips and the knees. And so I don't have sciatica pains,
Mhm.
which is good. But my
That's good.
dad did. I've got friends of
Those are
mine,
not
and
fun.
I want no part of that. So
No. Takes longer too.
this also, so we determine you love puzzles.
Yes.
Do you like the medical shows and the whodunit shows to find out, not the medical shows much, but the whodunit shows to find out where, because you're always in search of things and you like
Oh,
those
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
I
So
love yeah.
it's a game to you, isn't it? Somebody walks
Yes.
in, hey, my back hurts. Like, all
I'm like,
right,
"Let's bring it
give
on."
me
Yep.
10 minutes.
Yep, and something shows up that's super atypical, it doesn't follow any of the textbook,
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense, and that's when I get excited,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
"Okay, you're gonna give me a challenge today," and
Yeah.
so we peel back the layers almost like an onion
Mhm.
until we figure it out and give an answer,
Oh,
so
very cool.
I love it.
We are here with Dr. Morgan Lintz from she's a chiropractor at Askeland Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech, where they help you reach your goals with proven technologies for increasing traffic leads and sales. Go to oakcitytech.com. Tell Drago we said hi. He'll take good care of you. All righty. Bettendorf, Iowa,
Yes.
your hometown. Let me tell you what I know, and then let me tell you
Okay.
what I found out. Did you know it was the 15th largest city in the great state of Iowa?
I did not.
It is. I did not either. I did not
Huh.
know it's part of the Quad Cities.
Oh, yeah.
I knew 3 of the 4. Now I
QC.
know the 4th,
There you
exactly, the
go.
QC. So I like to do I stalk my guests starting on Saturday morning. I stalk
Wish I
my
would have known
guests.
that.
Oh yeah, no, you don't want to know. You don't want to. But I missed your dang YouTube video.
Yeah.
But I'll know next week.
Don't look it up.
Andy's going to pay for that. I'm going to be all over there looking for Andy. So I love to find out who's from there. Now, someone you may not know that I do, Johnny Lujak, Heisman Trophy winner at Notre Dame, football
Really?
player, oldest living Heisman Trophy winner.
No way.
According to Wikipedia, he's still with us. So good
That's
on you, Johnny.
amazing.
Here's the other one I found out. Where did I write down? Eric Christian Olsen. He plays Deeks on NCIS LA.
Really?
Yes, from Bettendorf, Iowa.
I gotta look that up.
I know.
That's
I thought
awesome.
Great show.
Gosh,
And he's so
yeah.
funny. Yeah,
Oh, I
but
love
good
all
show.
the murder. I thought I wanted to get in forensics after growing up,
Oh,
watching
yeah.
all those murder mystery
Yeah.
shows and crime scene.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it
love
still would be fun because, again,
Yeah.
it's the puzzle
It's a
part
puzzle.
of it. Yeah.
Exactly. See,
Because finding
same.
why is that blood drop way over there, but this one here is angled away. And
Oh yeah.
oh,
I'd be all about it. Believe me.
but now the other thing I found out, because I went through a list of people from notables from Bettendorf, Iowa, and about 5 UFC fighters came up.
Oh, UFC fighters.
Is there
it's
anger
big
management
there.
issues in Bettendorf?
There's nothing to do.
Just beat up on each other on
We
a Friday
say you
night
either play sports or you drink beer.
because it's snowing
Yeah.
and had babies because it snows for 4
Yeah.
months out of the year,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Everybody's got 6
A
kids,
lot of
right?
babies in the summer. And
Yeah, exactly. Doctors, hospitals, real busy. Why so many UFC fighters?
They're I think his name, Pat Militech or
Yeah.
Militech. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, if anybody's watching. But there was like a big gym downtown that all of them would come and fight and train. And we actually know, my family knows a few people
Yeah.
who have or are training to do that. So I don't know what the draw is, but
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
hey,
So I
yeah.
kept clicking on names. I'm like, either they were elected, well, and this includes Winona State as well.
Mhm.
Either they were elected officials or they're UFC fighters. I'm like, what gives here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Tough
hey,
part of town.
just gotta make, everyone just makes their own goal and follows it. And sometimes it's sports, sometimes it's fighting.
Who
sometimes it's
knew we
farming.
would find out about the tough streets in
Yeah.
Bettendorf, Iowa,
Yeah,
right?
the premier city.
Oh,
That's-
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
nice. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's a good place,
The
actually.
premier city.
Yeah, if the winters weren't so bad, I might not have ever left.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have a brother,
Yes.
a good neighborhood full of kids.
So we grew up kind of on the outskirts of town. So we weren't really part of like a neighborhood. All of our
No.
friends felt like we lived in the boonies, even though it was like 10 minutes away.
And they really
Um,
lived in the boonies. That's how far
yeah.
out you live from the boonies. Yeah.
And so no, we still have a great group of friends from back home.
Yeah.
One of them, actually, a good friend of mine, actually moved to Raleigh, weirdly enough. And
Oh, nice.
I come from a family. My mom had 4 sisters, so I have a lot of cousins that are in the same age range. So we grew up as siblings, and we're still really, really close. So
Yeah.
holidays are a huge deal to us. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's fun. It's good.
We have, we're just had a family reunion on my wife's side and chance to pick on each other, maybe pour a drink in between, have
Yeah.
some good food, and everybody's happy.
That's how all
Same
of our
thing with
family
yours.
outings go. There's a lot of us.
And games, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Last Christmas, we wanted to mix things up, and my mom planned all of these games, and we're all competitive. Most of us were athletes, including a lot of my aunts and my mother. And oh gosh, it was cutthroat.
Yeah.
We did not want to lose. We had singing competitions,
No.
some like just all different kind of games. So we love that.
Are you an aunt yet? Is your brother married? Any
No,
kids?
come on,
Okay.
Michael, if you're watching.
Yeah, really? Because it's going to be him first. Mom, get off my back,
Yeah,
right?
calm down.
Do you have, who were the youngest kids at your family reunion, age-wise?
So youngest, I think, gosh, everyone's getting so old.
Okay, but high school and up?
Yeah, no, middle
Okay.
school.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So you
we
can
got
probably get away with
Rylan.
most stuff
Yeah,
with them in the
most of them are
rooms. Yeah,
fine. Yeah,
okay.
or we just shove them in another room or tell them to look away. But the
Yeah.
big component, DJ was our high schooler, and him and Andrew, they both just graduated. So we've got
Okay.
a whole new crew, us older kids.
That's so funny. We're going to get to your mother, though, because
Oh.
she was a kick-ass athlete.
There you go.
You worked in, let me go to my notes here. You were on the pain management team at the Central Iowa VA Hospital.
Yes.
Was that, take me from college to that point and then down to Raleigh.
Okay, so this is really kind of interesting how it works. So chiropractic is just beginning to unroll a residency. And down the road, the goal is that all chiropractic students, when they graduate, have to do a residency. Right now, you have to do clinic hours at our clinic at the college.
Yep.
This was not considered a residency, but I'll get into that. But basically, I was chosen to do a almost year-long clerkship at a VA hospital. So you have to go through an interview process. There's only, I mean, less than 10%,
Wow.
chiropractic students do this. And so I was chosen along with a few other students to go to the Central Iowa VA hospital. I worked 50 hours a week. I had to be at work at 6:15 a.m., left around 4, and treated vets all day.
What was the pay?
And no pay.
Nice.
Free labor.
Nice.
Free labor. No, but it was, I could just smile and smile about it all day. It
Yeah.
was the best experience. What I learned from the cases I got to see, I mean, I've talked to a lot of chiropractors who have been in practice 20 or 30 years who haven't seen the things that I've seen.
Yeah.
And so that was huge. And honestly, being able to give back to the vets, I mean,
Yeah.
it was
I wish more people would
the most
understand.
rewarding
Yeah.
experience. I mean, there's so many days we'd have to step out and just kind of regroup because
Yeah.
your eyes would start filling up with tears when you hear their stories.
Yeah, and again, here's my 30-second soapbox
Mhm.
on that. Military veterans and first responders, they do the stuff, they run in when we run out.
Absolutely.
And why they don't get better care, but again, that's another
I know.
podcast I could start.
Yep.
But I gotta believe I agree, without you having to tell me that, I gotta believe that was so rewarding
It
to be able
was.
to help.
It was. It
'cause-
was rewarding and it was hard. And my dad, my brother, I have 2 uncles who are firemen. And so from that first responder standpoint, I have a pretty good understanding about what it takes. I don't know tons of veterans and or at least I don't know a lot about their stories the ones I do know. And so I realized I didn't know crap about what they give up
Yeah.
and what sacrifices they have to make and what things they were exposed to. And until you really do work and you listen, you really just don't fully understand.
Was there a common theme of what you're working on with the vets, or just kind of all over the body?
So pain management, it was chiropractic was there. We had acupuncture. We had a pain interventionalist, so the epidurals, cortisone injections. We had MDs, nurse practitioners, pain psychologists, physical therapists. We all worked together. So it was very integrative and it went really, really well and it was very successful. There was no egos in the room. You had to work together. And so we worked with chronic pain. And the biggest thing about chronic pain was understanding the psychosocial component of that. And so a lot of these patients had PTSD, anxiety, depression, high stress levels. They were on multiple medications, have their own interactions. And then a lot of them come from trauma, whether it be childhood trauma, some sort of abuse overseas, sexual trauma. Some of them had it before the military and they were running away from it. And some of it had happened while they were there. And usually that was the thing that stopped them from getting better. Some of them were from explosions and lost limbs and surgeries and things like that. But a lot of the time it was all these comorbidities that were just wreaking havoc on their nervous system. And so that was really interesting to explore and birthed my love for pain and neuroscience.
And I've also had those conversations like this with other chiropractors. Is they're on so many medications that they just kind of cancel each other out after some point in time, don't they?
Yeah, it's really tough. And, that's not my scope. And so I know just enough to ask questions. Could your dizziness or your poor balance be due to medicine, having a bad reaction? It's really tough. It's really tough because when you dig into it, some of it you're like, okay, I kind of understand why this is. And sometimes it's more on the patient than the provider. A lot of times the patients don't want to take control. They don't want to change their diet. They don't want to put in more exercise. They don't want to lose the weight. And so really the providers are doing the best they can.
Yeah.
Not always, but in a lot of cases, it requires the patient to actually be empowered to take control. Be part of it.
With a lot of things, you can't
Yep.
make people do something
No.
until they really want to.
Yes.
Was the goal to get them off of as much medication as possible, or just treat the pain?
So the VA, so everyone knows about the opiate epidemic and all this stuff going down with opiates. And so that was our goal. Our goal was to give them other management options for pain. And people would come to us still being like, why aren't you prescribing me something? They want more pain meds and they were getting cut off.
Yeah.
And so when our job then was to basically, give them that alternate. And a lot of times they're coming in like, you're not going to be able to help me, and we helped a lot of people and we helped the majority of people that came in some way, shape or form. And so we're never taking anybody off meds or recommending. That's all the MDs and the MPs. That's their job. But our goal is to do do what we can from a pain management and from a biomechanical standpoint, and maybe allow them the opportunity to not need them anymore.
Now, how close was the VA hospital to your home?
3 hours. So I moved.
Okay.
Yep.
So you were living there for a whole year.
Yep.
Just working 50 hours a week?
Oh yeah. Just grinding it out. Yeah.
Right.
It was chiropractic almost 24/7.
Were you doing schooling during that time?
I
Or?
was online. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to
Geez.
do some online stuff.
Right.
The professors were really understanding. I mean, what we were doing was so much greater than some
Oh,
of the
yeah.
last, minute classes that we
Yeah.
needed. So to be honest, I felt like I had already graduated.
Well, but going back to a point you said earlier, you've met chiropractors who've been working 20 years that have never seen what you've seen.
Mhm.
I'll take street smarts any day. I mean,
Yeah.
book smarts one thing, but man, if you've seen it 3 times, you're like, okay, I know this.
The
I mean,
experience just
yeah.
put me years ahead,
Oh, yeah.
there's just stuff that I feel comfortable with that I can't believe I feel comfortable with,
Yeah.
because it's outlandish, it's kind of odd, like stuff that would be strange, to someone down the street, I've seen more times than I can count, and so I'm comfortable dealing with it.
Would you have gotten your degree if you didn't do the internship?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and so that's where we chiropractors need more experience. They just do, and a lot of people don't get it until they graduate. And
Mm.
so the goal down the road is to make sure all chiropractic students have to do this residency where they are exposed to all these different conditions. So they didn't just learn about it in their textbook, but they
Yeah.
actually got to see it firsthand. And so the way things are changing, and now that we're getting so much funding for the evidence and for research, the research is just coming out, every few months.
Yeah.
More and more stuff is publishing. And so the more research we get, the more hospitals will be implemented in, and then the more residencies that can roll out.
And I know the insurance companies will never give up money for stuff, but if we could just start on the preventative side,
Oh, we'd save them
people
so
could
much money.
and people could live longer and they'd
Yes.
feel better. And both of my boys are going to have bad backs. They kind of both do already, just because it comes from both sides of the family. So I've told them, go find one now. So I'm searching to
Literally.
help them find just to get ahead of it.
Yeah, it'd be a rocky transition, but if they went and they covered more of the preventative care, I
Yeah.
just had a woman cancel her epidural 2 days ago. She's feeling so much better in just 3 visits. She came in
Yeah.
tears,
Oh,
dancing
good.
because,
Okay.
it was happy
Yeah.
tears because she's like, I get to cancel my injection.
Yeah.
And that is so great. If she chose to get it, I would support her all the way. But the
Yeah.
fact that she on her own felt that she could cancel it,
Oh, yeah.
and insurance was going to pay for part of that, so instead
Yeah.
they paid for our visit, which was a fraction of the cost of the injection.
When did you first start working here in Raleigh?
So April 17th, I believe,
Right.
was my first day.
Do you remember your first patient?
Yes.
And what were you treating them for?
It was just routine low back pain.
Okay.
And so the last time I treated patients at the VA, and so this routine just low back case came in, and I was like, "Really? Is that all?" Like, anything else? Anything
Yeah.
else? And they're like, "Nope, I'm good." I'm like, "Oh, all right. Well, that was an easy day 1."
Yeah.
Had 1 patient on my schedule week 1.
Oh,
That was
really?
it. So it was a big day.
What got you to Askeland here in Raleigh?
So it's kind of a funny story. So Logan, him and I met at Palmer, and so he's from Wake Forest. So we met on orientation day, first day.
Wait, who's
and so
Logan?
Logan's my boyfriend. Sorry,
Yes. All right, we'll get to
should have
that.
prefaced that.
We'll get
Yep.
to that. Yeah.
Anyway, he's from Wake Forest,
Yep.
and so I told him, as things were winding down, that I was looking to leave the Midwest, and so I'd be
Yeah.
very open, but I wouldn't just come without a job. That made sense.
Mhm.
And so, weirdly enough, we had a mutual friend who knew Dr. Askeland and said that he was looking to expand. Weirdly enough, Dr. Askeland's from Iowa. So we had like mutual connections we didn't even know about. So we had one phone conversation, which led to us planning a flight for me to come out here, which led to a contract all within like 5-month period.
And Logan was wise to find a way to make this happen, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said, okay, just
Smart
sense his
guy.
urgency.
Yeah.
Oh, I support this 100%. Yeah.
100%. Yep.
Is he a chiropractor?
He's a chiropractor as well.
Where
Yep.
does he practice?
He's in Roseville. He's at Osborne Chiropractic.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right.
So-
Okay. I like when the dots get connected. It's like, okay, boy meets girl, boy helps girl. Got it
Yeah,
now. It's
done.
Really.
Sealed it.
We are here with Dr. Morgan Lintz from Askeland Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. If you'll go to oakcitytech.com, get touch base with Drago there. He will help you find clients, find leads, make you some more money, take great care of you. He helps me with my website and my speaking business. Built me a beautiful website, helps me out. He's good for questions. So please go talk to Drago at Oak City Tech. All right, let's talk some softball here.
All right.
All right.
Favorite.
So Winona State.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the funniest part.
Okay.
I'm looking through everything. By the way, you need to update your LinkedIn. It's
I
minimal
know.
stuff.
I get
It's
made
very
fun
poor,
of.
very
It's so
poor.
big here. It's
As
not
they
big
should.
at home.
Yeah, as they should. Yes, you need to update that.
I'm working on it.
A Spanish minor.
So I started the Spanish minor, yes.
Lord.
And the only thing I just about finished it, but I would have had to stay because we had 4-hour practices a day.
Mhm.
And so you couldn't go to class during those 4 hours,
Yeah.
you know, and you could, you know, but you couldn't.
Yeah.
And so I had just a couple classes. I'd like maybe 2, but I would have to stay an extra semester.
Yeah.
So I took right up until, you know, I wanted to graduate.
You weren't allowed to have a tutor go to class for you and take your test?
No, unfortunately.
Yeah,
That
good
didn't
answer.
work.
You should be in the SEC. They just hand those out. So
Dang it.
one of the famous alums from Winona State is, and there weren't many athletic alums that I could
Mhm.
find. Austin Aries, WWE.
Didn't know this.
I didn't either. So
Wow.
okay.
Thank you for the history.
Because your Winona State Hall of Fame, you have to put in the last name or the first name. Like, dude, I just want a list.
Yeah.
So talk to him about
Okay, I
that next
will.
time you're back accepting an
will.
award. So, all right. So you were a first baseman, mostly pitcher in high school, but in
Yes.
college you were a first baseman.
Yes.
Do you remember the grand slam you hit to beat Wisconsin Parkside?
Oh.
Really?
Had a few of those over the
Oh,
years.
sorry for the humble
I'm
brag.
just kidding. No, maybe I do.
But I'm looking through your bio. It says grand slam and win over Wisconsin Parkside. And I thought all
Nice.
you great athletes remember every pitch, who the pitcher was, the win that day, and everything.
See, I'm very type A. I remember, I can still tell you
The loss.
the change up that I
Yeah.
missed my spot when I was a junior and gave
Yeah.
up a hit to lose in high school. You know,
Okay.
I remember all the errors.
And that's what usually they remember is the shot
Yes.
they missed,
Yes.
not the 81 they made. It's the one
terrible.
they missed. Yeah. So you had a 2-run single against Minnesota State in the NCAA tournament.
That I remember.
All right. Tell me about that.
Oh,
Where and
man.
when?
So Mankato are our biggest rivals.
Yes.
They're a great program, absolutely great program. But during my years there, we rarely lost to them. So it was always a neck and neck. And so I have always lived for the pressure. That's what makes sports so exciting and
Mhm.
why I liked softball over the other ones. Volleyball and basketball, they move so fast. You have time to get in your head.
Yes.
Whereas in softball, you had every second to get in your head and talk yourself out of it. And so we were in kind of a close-knit, game, and I had Jenny up before me, and I was able to get the job done.
Yeah.
And it was just so fun. It's the best feeling.
Now that was to win a game in the NCAA tournament, right? Who'd
I
you lose
believe
to the
so.
next day? Or if you lost, I may have made an assumption.
What year was this? This was like my
Junior
junior
year? I
junior
think, if I
year.
remember right. Yeah, I was reading up. Yeah,
I think it might have been Augie.
Okay, all right.
We don't need to talk about that.
Why? No, would never do that. Why did you change your jersey number?
Okay, so 6 is my number. And
Right.
so my freshman year, Molly Link, who was a great athlete, also from Iowa,
Yeah.
she had 6. So she was a senior. So I waited the year and then I snagged 6 back.
Okay. all right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at these headshots. I'm like, hang on a second. So I
Yeah.
figured as much. Usually it's somebody had.
Yep.
Because in college, well, you can pay for the number. You're not supposed to. But in the pros, they cut deals all
Yeah.
the time. So, so I get on the Winona State website,
Mhm.
looking at career offensive stats.
Mhm.
Would be no surprise you're in the top 10 of most of them.
Mhm.
You're 4th all-time in home runs,
Mhm.
3rd all-time in RBIs, career leader in putouts, which at first base you should be.
Yeah.
Funny, I did not see you in the top 10 in steals.
Oh, you know what? Speed and vertical have always been 2 things that I just knew about myself wasn't gonna work.
Did
So
you steal a base in college?
I did. I mean, like a pass ball steal,
That's
not
not
like
a
a
steal. I
straight
mean,
steal.
like,
No,
you got
gosh,
the
no.
sign
No, no,
together.
no.
Okay.
I was a decent long distance. I used to be able to run a 6-minute mile. I was impressed
Okay.
by that. But sprinting,
So you get from
all
first
my
to
weight's in
third?
my legs.
Okay.
Yeah, I get from first
I
to
didn't
third.
want to say that because
Yeah.
that would just be rude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm-
Let me say it.
I'm a good host, yes. So you get from first to third on something to the gap.
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I could.
Right.
I could do that.
Right. If you did not go to Winona State, where would you have gone?
So my other offers were all D1 actually. I was recruited by Wisconsin, University of Northern Iowa, and Valparaiso when I hurt my shoulder as a pitcher because I was recruited as a pitcher. My shoulder injury just kind of trickled into my freshman year. That's why my pitching kind of turned more into first base.
Oh, okay.
But when I hurt my shoulder, I became kind of a liability. So those all became preferred walk-on spots, meaning no one would have known I wasn't on scholarship, but my bank account would have known.
Oh, yeah.
So that's ultimately, besides that, and the Coach Jones, who's at Winona State, who's just fantastic.
Okay.
That's kind of how I ended up there.
Fully healthy,
Mhm.
would you have started at Wisconsin or any of those other schools?
It's really hard to say because, there's so many good athletes. I have a friend who went there 2 years maybe after me, and she had a great career there, and we were always really competitive, so I'd like to think that, I by all means would have had a great shot at it. But you can't say that. Of course I want to say that I would have done this and this, but the real is it's hard to say.
If you were fully healthy, would you have gone to one of those?
I wanted to go to Wisconsin so bad. I cried. I did an official visit there. I got to walk on the football field, spend a night with the team. Randy Schneider was there at the time. He's no longer coaching there, but I wanted to go there so bad. So bad.
Did you get a letter from a school that you knew there's no way you're going, but you thought, oh, a visit would be fun?
I didn't get any letters from them. I always wanted to go to Mizzou. I don't know what it was about Mizzou.
Really?
I don't know. I
Nobody
think they're
wants to
black
go
and
there.
gold because
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was
yeah.
from Bettendorf.
Okay.
And when back then they did have a really good softball program.
Right.
And being the fact that Iowa, we played softball in the summer. We're the only state that does that. So recruiting is really tough for Iowa players.
Ooh,
And I
yeah.
didn't play. I was the only person at Winona who didn't play on a travel ball team because I wanted to play 3 sports.
Okay.
So I wasn't on a competitive travel ball team, and I was in Iowa. And so the fact that I still was able to get 4 offers was pretty great in itself. Yeah.
How far is Winona from Bettendorf?
4 hours straight north. You're like, don't even turn.
Okay. How many games did your folks get to?
Quite a bit.
All right.
Yeah, quite a bit. The only thing that held them back was my brother was also an amazing athlete, just naturally gifted at any sport that he
But is he
played.
in the top 10
And,
or anything?
yeah,
Really? I
well,
mean, come on. Yeah.
that's
Kevin,
right.
come on. Kevin, right?
Yeah, Michael.
Michael.
Yep.
Okay. Come on.
And
dude.
so he was playing football during the fall, and he'd
Mhm.
have, basketball and soccer. He was a great goalie. So they'd have to coordinate between the 2 of us. So if they missed, that was usually why. But after he graduated, it was all about me again.
There you go. So mom would go. You mean mom didn't pick one, dad picked the other? They'd either both go?
No, yeah. Yeah, sometimes my mom would make day trips because my dad's a firefighter, so
Yeah.
it'd be 24 on,
Okay.
48 off kind of thing. So she'd come alone sometimes, bring my grandma, which was
Yeah.
fun, or one of her friends.
When you graduate, do you still have jerseys?
Yeah,
Okay. What's the
do.
best thing? What's the best piece of memorabilia you have?
I have one of my actual jerseys,
Okay.
which isn't very common to be able to
Yeah.
get that. So I actually wore it for Halloween last second.
That
I
was a
felt
lame
really
picture,
cool.
yeah,
Oh
With a
man.
Nike hat.
I was in
Lord.
my feelings though.
God, I didn't go anywhere, and I put more thought into my costume.
I'm
Really?
sorry, I'm not very creative.
No.
But I'll be a softball player every year,
Clearly
dress up as
should.
my dead passion.
No, really, this used to be me.
Yeah,
They're
this
like,
really,
sure, lady.
seriously, it still
48
fits.
walking down the street. No, this would be back in my day.
I do have my home run balls. My dad, I have at their home back in Iowa, I have this huge trophy case, and he used to pay kids $5 to run and get my home run balls out of the woods.
Nice.
And so I have tons and tons of home run balls. So my first ever home run that I hit in college, I have that home run ball.
Oh, cool.
I have all
Okay.
my trophies and old cleats and gloves and bats, and I have a lot of really cool stuff back home.
If you could have played at any D1 school,
Oh gosh.
was it Wisconsin?
For Big Ten, yeah,
Yeah.
I love Big Ten. I mean, going Florida, Alabama, that's awesome. It was just so out of reach. It really was. It's so hard to
No
compete with the
snow,
southern schools in
yeah,
California.
no snow,
That's where
yeah.
all those people are from.
What I learned from softball players is the chants and the cheers from the dugout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you lead many of those? Did you
did. I'm
choreograph
loud.
any of those?
I'm loud,
Yeah,
so
we
of
picked up
course.
on
I'm
that earlier.
not I was never very frou-frou into it,
Yeah.
but making noise. What it did is it kept everybody's focus
Mhm.
in on the game because softball is a little more fast-paced than baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And the highs and lows come so fast. And so when you're in a high and you've got a rally going, you got to stay hot. And
Yeah.
so If you're not doing that, people start sitting in the dugout, they start losing attention. And while from the outside, I think it can sound kind of silly sometimes and be kind of silly. In the moment, it is the whole team's in on what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's something really beautiful about it from a mental standpoint. You're all locked in on what's going on.
Could you taunt the other team? Could you make up a cheer to taunt somebody, and would you?
No, every once in a while we'd slide some in there,
Yeah.
but you had to have good sportsmanship.
Would you
they could
taunt
get you in
another
trouble.
school that wasn't even playing? Like, would you taunt Mankato just
Oh
because
yeah,
you could?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We would do that sometimes at parties. Like after
Oh, yeah.
we'd go back and just start a chant about Mankato just because.
Do softball players like each other in general after the games?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there's a lot of people who didn't like me specifically. I was very competitive.
Not a surprise.
Is that
there,
shocking?
Yeah. No, not
but
at all.
after, there's some people now, like some of my best friends were actually huge enemies. I
Yeah.
mean, we hated each other. And what's so funny is realize we were so much alike.
Yeah.
So a couple of my good friends were, I mean, we, wanted to almost like, brawl it out after the game.
So you were not opposed to a hard sweeping tag at first base, whether they were on the base or not?
Absolutely not. I did it a few times. Yeah.
Can you throw at each other in softball? Can the
No.
pitcher throw at the batter?
No.
Okay.
You mean like underhand?
Yeah.
Well, actually,
To make a point.
So this is actually one of my favorite memories. We were playing a team up in Rochester. We had to be in a dome because there was so much snow and it was spring. And it was so ridiculous. And so I was running to first base, and the first baseman just came with ball and just took me out. I mean, like, she like just dropped a shoulder and took me out. Like I like flipped up on my back. I'm a big girl. It takes a lot to do that. And just laid me out. I mean, they brought out the trainer and checked me out and made sure everything was okay. So I'm fine. I go back and we're back on defense, and she comes up to bat, and my pitcher, who's very quiet, she never talks poorly about anybody. She just beams the heck out of this girl. And then she just looks at me and she gives me the dot. And I was like, did you just do this? I was like, it was the greatest thing. She didn't say a word about it. She didn't bring it up again. She just beamed her. And
where'd she hit her?
Right in the arm.
Okay.
Yeah.
When the girl walked first, did she know that score's even now?
Oh, she was not
real
happy.
quiet.
And I was at first. It was like, wasn't me.
Yeah. No signals from first base here. You get your athletic skills, as you mentioned earlier, from your family. But you're telling me earlier it was about a month ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago, we saw each other. You're telling me that your mom was just a kick-ass collegiate volleyball player.
She played at UNI, University of Northern Iowa. She went to high school in Waterloo, and all my aunts are really tall. My mom was 5'11". I don't think she's still 5'11". Sorry, Mom.
Right? 5'11". She's the run of the family.
So I think Jen might have had her beat, but she played Division I, and she had a heck of a vertical. I think she still holds like a blocking statistic there or something. And she actually played 6-on-6 basketball. I was the last state to change that.
Yep.
And so she has a ball sign where she scored 50 points in a game, and she could have, basketball is what she was actually known for, but she wanted to just kind of experience volleyball a little bit more. So she chose volleyball instead.
For those of you that don't know 6-on-6 women's basketball, it was, again, male, my kind, just keeps a lot of people down. But anyways, that's another podcast. There would be three players of your team on one side of half court and three on the other.
Yes.
And it was a half court game. So you got the rebound, got the ball across midcourt to your team, and it's basically 3-on-3.
Yeah.
So a lot of points are being scored, but the 6 on the other side of the court couldn't cross midcourt. So that's why they call it 6-on-6.
Yes.
And it took way too long to get rid of it. But that's another podcast.
And Iowa was always slow.
Yeah.
Iowa was always slow.
Yeah.
So my aunt, Jen, she played volleyball at University of Colorado. My grandpa played basketball at University of Iowa. I played softball. My cousin Dylan played basketball at Augustana University. My cousin DJ, who's like, came out of the womb with a 6-pack. He now is a freshman at Ohio State for basketball. And so he just had his first game. And
is he going to play some?
Yeah, he scored 15. He had 3 dunks and 5 assists. And so he absolutely crushed it first game out. It was our exhibition game.
And what's his name?
DJ Carton. And he's a top 40 recruit for the class.
Dang.
Yeah.
From Iowa?
Yeah.
And they got him out of Iowa to go to
He had
Ohio
like 30.
State.
I believe he had, he chose over University of Iowa. He had like 30 D1 offers.
We'll have to keep an eye out for him.
Oh, yeah.
How many references to Field of Dreams do you get because you're from Iowa?
All the time.
Oh, yes, you do.
All the time. And I've been there multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done a pickup game on the field.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you can't see what just happened, but usually it's a computer related note
No,
when I
it's
see
not.
Amnon
No.
drop his
No,
drop
no.
his microphone down to talk. So.
No.
Oh no, what happened?
No.
No, you said
Oh.
something that got him
No.
to do that. Usually it's computer
No,
stuff.
no,
Oh.
you both saying, do I see the start of a sports podcast here?
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
go. I'm
Oh,
ready.
yeah.
I'm
We're all
free.
about that. Oh, we could do that. We could crucify people.
Fantasy
like,
football, I've got that
I'd
going. I
never-
love it.
Yeah, I've got I have wide receiver issues because I keep leaving 30 points on the bench for my team, and Mayfield's killing me. And I started I started what's his name in Jacksonville last night or
gosh.
Sunday.
Yeah. I don't keep
He
a
got
good
me
eye on
20
them.
late, but anyways.
Yeah, my phone glitched with the app and I kept feeling in for the
Oh, you
Vikings.
went out,
yeah, but I
yeah.
still won. So
Yeah,
it worked
okay,
out in my
that's good.
favor.
That's
McCaffrey
good.
went off.
Yeah. What to connect sports to chiropractor.
Mhm.
For baseball fans, Max Scherzer, who, by the
Yes.
way, not happy Astros fan.
I'm
for the
sorry to
record.
hear that.
No, you're not.
Go
So the
Cubs.
Nationals won this. Yeah, well, yeah, really. You got your one. So yeah,
Thank
you can say you've seen one in your lifetime, right? Your grandfather, yeah, but you got
Yeah.
your one. So Max Scherzer, the stud pitcher on the Nationals, was supposed to
Yes.
pitch Game 6,
Mhm.
Game 5.
5.
And he woke up
Oh, no,
woke
that's
up
right.
that morning with back issues.
Mhm.
And in his post-game press conference, which you posted on your Facebook page,
Yes.
because I stalk,
Thank you.
he credited the chiropractors. They talked about the C5 and the C6 problems.
Mhm.
What is that? What was it? And what did they do to fix that?
So C5 and C6 are 2 vertebrae in your neck. And basically what my understanding of it was there was some sort of potential nerve entrapment or nerve impingement and just decreased range of motion through the neck.
He
And
said he took a shot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so the cortisone helped, which is making me think that was probably some level of inflammation. And so when we get in there and we apply an adjustment, what we're doing is we're taking a joint to end range and then applying a force to help improve range of motion. And so what we were basically able to do is just help free up the neck, help allow him some better movement, then help facilitate and decrease that pain response. And so he was able to play. We love that. And the thing that's crazy is we see that all the time. You know, I always say we're pain management and sports performance. Those are
Yeah.
my 2 kind of wheelhouses. And I have tons of soccer players in my office right now. You know, they all have the same issue. And every one of them, I say, give me 1 week. And all of them are back at it. And they're about to go see the orthopedist or go do all these things. And it's not always that complicated, you know? So to me, that's a no-brainer. I'm just
Yeah.
glad to see other people catching on to that.
And usually you don't see a chiropractor getting much credit. They
No.
just say medical staff.
Oh, every chiropractor on
Sitting up
social
going-
media is sharing that. Like, we told you. And so that's always fun.
Anybody that is watching the show, if they have a child or a grandchild that is travel ball, actually an up level,
Mhm.
whether they're 13, 14, 15, they probably should just go to a chiropractor, just make sure everything's in place. Because we think pain, but a lot of times just make sure everything's lined up.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a shout out for any parents or athletes. We're now seeing more collegiate and pro level injuries in youth athletes than ever before. They're being overworked. They typically have poor mechanics. They're not taking good care of themselves, whether it's from a physical standpoint or a nutrition standpoint. And I highly, highly recommend that you take your child to see a physical therapist or a chiropractor, someone to be evaluated, because you know, had I been a little more proactive with it than I was, I could have maybe prevented some of my injuries that I struggled with. And so that is one of my number 1 goals, is to help parents realize you've got to make sure your kids are taking care of themselves or they are going to get hurt. It's so prevalent right now.
And you see these travel teams, and just pick a sport.
Mhm.
It's just day in and day out at that level, to think if I want to get to the next level, I've got to throw 10 hours a day or lift 10 hours a day or run 10 hours a day.
And that was honestly the biggest mistake I made. I practice all the time. People wouldn't see me by myself at 10 p.m. on a tee working. And what I'm learning now is, you know, that was part of what got me hurt. And I love sports, and travel ball I'm such a hater of it right now. I mean, these parents, when I say they need to give their kid 1 week off. One of the kids was the second week. It's just the beginning of season. And they look at me like I just told them their kid has 5 months to live.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so sad how, you know, at 10 years old, they think their kid's going to be the next professional MVP of whatever sport. And, you know, let's be real. That's is that what, 5%?
Oh, not
Like
even that.
1 to
Keep
3%
going.
is something,
Keep
something
going.
ridiculously low.
Yeah.
And so, I have patients that come in who are 60 and they say, "Oh yeah, this is back from my high school football days." What?
Yeah,
You know?
that I
And
believe.
so,
Well, there are no
while some
pads
of
back
it's yeah, I
then.
know. Well, some of that's true. Some people have just settled with this notion that
Mhm.
I'm gonna be in pain now.
Yeah.
And, when I see like 25 to 30-year-olds especially saying that, like, "Oh, getting old,"
Yeah.
that's just so depressing to me. I don't have any pain, rarely ever.
Yeah, and I'm a lot better than I used to be.
Yeah.
But going back to your point about the travel ball kids, 2 things parents and I've been through this. My oldest
Mhm.
son he could have played probably D3 basketball.
Mhm.
And it was a whole lot different back then, but today, well, I see the same thing is the parents need to do 2 things. One is make sure their kid's body is taken care of, and
Yes.
second of all, don't put the pressure of them, "Oh, they're gonna be the next, Cy Young winner or the next NFL
Mhm.
MVP." Just let them progress as
Yeah.
they're going to
Well,
progress.
and something you probably don't know about me is I actually coached privately for 10
Mhm.
years. And I started when I
I've been
was oh,
on
you
yep,
got it.
didn't get around that, yep.
When I was 15, I started for $10 for a half hour when what I charged for lessons.
Nice.
And I did all
Cash
until I moved
too,
here. Oh
nice.
yeah. I did it all the way up until I moved here. And what I noticed is the ones who were really, really good would have been with or without me. I was a catalyst.
Mhm.
I was not the reason that they were really, really good. And so these parents, feel this pressure from other parents who are getting hitting lessons, fielding lessons, personal trainer, all this stuff. So they think they have to do that for their kid too. The reality is you don't. You're still a good parent. You don't have to make them do everything under the sun because the reality is the ones who did that and then went on to play in college became robots. They were losing
Yeah.
their passion so early. And so, I
Because
mean,
that's all they're doing
it's
every day,
they were
yeah.
playing 300 something games a year,
Yep.
and so those girls that were coming to, even Winona were the ones walking on and off the field, and they just didn't get it because they played 300 games a year, so
Yeah.
half the time they were just flipping on cruise control, and it's nothing against them, it was just, when you play that much all the time, that's all you do, it gets old.
In a lot of times with, again, that level of play,
Mhm.
you kinda need to take your clue from your kid.
Yeah.
Do they wanna do that?
Mhm. Yeah.
And make them say, "Mom, Dad, I wanna do here's what I'm willing to do. I want that, but I'm willing to put in the work here," instead of you just, "Hey, we've got practice 4 days this week," and you're right, they get that blank
Yep.
stare on their
And
face.
that's why I'm thankful for my parents is, my dad was like, "I'll go out and catch for you anytime you want, but I'm not gonna tell you to, that's
Yeah.
on you." And, my mom, when it came to basketball and volleyball, was a little more in my ear because those were her sports. Maybe that's why I chose softball. I don't know. Sorry, mom. And, but overall, they never forced us to do anything we didn't want to do. And
Yeah.
ultimately, I think that's why, part of the reason Michael and I were so good, we really had great careers and we loved every second. Like we wanted to do it. We
Mhm.
went and just did it for fun, not just during practice
Yeah.
hours. I think it's because we didn't feel that pressure from our parents, who ultimately were the ones we were really trying to impress more than
Oh,
anybody.
yeah.
You want them to be proud of you.
Yeah.
And if you don't put that pressure on them, it gives them a lot more freedom to
Yeah.
just grow and develop.
And again, you continued to enjoy the sport
Yes. And
because that wasn't
you
there.
need a passion. That's what I think is like the root cause, to almost everything. People who I see who have this pain, sometimes their pain is so prevalent because they don't have a passion or other things in their life that they have to focus on. So that little ache becomes a big ache when all they're
Mhm.
doing is sitting around the house with nothing to do,
Yeah.
and I think ultimately if we all just, went after what we were passionate about, we'd be a lot
Yeah.
happier and probably have lower pain levels.
With all these kids playing these video games, you're gonna see carpal
I'm
tunnel.
seeing a lot of head
Yes.
injuries
Oh,
recently.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
so weird.
And then are you gonna see bad posture eventually because 'cause they're slouched and just sit in that position for 8 hours a day?
So they're starting to notice there's some like preliminary work done where they're noticing more kids complaining of pain.
Mhm.
And it ultimately there's no research to support that there's a perfect posture. They cannot quantify that in any sort of research, but you can definitely argue there's a more advantageous position.
Mhm.
I'm sitting like this, I'm putting a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
strain on structures.
Yeah.
And so what I notice is like right between the shoulder blades, right at the base of the neck, the top of the neck, any transitional area in the spine, I'm noticing those are the areas where there's just such poor range of motion. And so the more we're sitting like this, even if you're not texting, you're reading a book, doing
Yeah.
something good for you, it's still putting a lot of pressure on structures and overstretching, the neck and the little muscles
Mhm.
that are around your neck and shoulders.
But what are you gonna start seeing in the fingers with just all the video, all the
It's
phones and tablets and everything?
I'm
Just
seeing
what
like it's just like a broad hand pain. It's not necessarily carpal tunnel. I'm sure people are
Yeah.
seeing it. That's not what I've been seeing. It's not carpal tunnel syndrome, but it's actually just like when if they do this, it pulls. Everything just pulls because they're constantly in the state
Yep.
of flexion.
Yep.
And so then when we bring them back and we try to end range load them, it's like hitting a brick wall. And so I'm actually having to give these people who are always on their phone with
Yeah.
social media, texting, who are playing these video games, I'm actually having to giving them some end range loading and some stretches to help load the joint the other way so they don't lose their range of
Are they
motion.
willing to do that?
Some more than you'd expect. I
Okay.
will say, when I became a chiropractor, I thought that'd be the hardest thing because
Yeah.
I never listened when they told me to stretch. I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not doing that. And so I always thought that that's how other people would respond. And actually, they are more because I make it easy. I'm like,
Yeah.
do 10 of these every hour,
Yeah.
not take 20 minutes. You find a way to incorporate into their life that is too easy to say no.
Bite size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And so we get good results.
What would you tell parents? Good advice, whether their kids are athletes or not, just good advice with the phone. What should they tell their 14, 15, 12-year-old kids with the phone, what not to do? What would you tell them?
In the perfect world, we'd all cut back.
Yeah.
We'd cut back to a few hours, maximum a day. It's crazy to even say a few hours a
I
day,
know.
but some people are 6, 7, 8
You're right.
hours
Oh,
of their
yeah.
day are spent. But I just told a kid today, bring the phone, to your face. Bring things up to
Oh,
you.
okay.
Rest on a pillow or a yoga block, something where you're doing it here. So my neck's neutral, I'm right in eyesight rather than this. It's here and then the back goes and then
Yeah.
everything starts curling forward. And if you're a big video gamer, I know video gaming is becoming, so much bigger,
Oh, yeah.
now. And what I'm noticing is that, um, it's important. People are getting scholarships for it. You can get lessons
Oh,
now.
crazy
I mean, there's
money.
crazy stuff. So I don't
Yeah.
want to, if that's somebody's passion, that's their passion, then pay for a great gaming setup.
Yeah.
Have a lumbar support, have a headrest, put yourself in an advantageous position because if that's their sport, their hobby, and they're going to do that for however many hours a day, make it
Yeah.
a good position. Put them in a good position.
That's the whole nother world. And
A whole nother world.
I've got a grandson
Yes.
who's 15 months, and that's all he'll know growing up.
Yeah.
And people will have to deal with just the hands. I mean, everything else
Mhm.
aside, just you do this all day long.
Yeah, you have to open up the other way. You
Yeah.
have to get both ranges of motion in.
Yeah.
And like the ultimate thing is, motion is lotion. Make sure you move. I always tell people to make it realistic and go walk for 10 minutes. I don't care about how fit you want to be. If
Yeah.
you want to have a six pack, that's your prerogative. But if I can get you to even walk 10 to 15 minutes out of your day, that we can get the blood flow pumping. We
Yeah.
get the joints moving, and that alone is going to help you from a pain standpoint.
And that doesn't mean walk with your phone. So you get
don't
hit
walk
by a
with your
car.
phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get hit.
If you could be a chiropractor to anybody, who would it be?
So if you would have asked me this a couple years ago, I would have said professional sport team. I would
Yep.
have taken any team.
All right.
What I've learned, it's not as cool. I mean, it's definitely cool. But there was things that I figured I actually would enjoy from that standpoint. And to be frank with you, this sounds really cheesy, but the population I'm working with right now, I
Yeah.
love the everyday weekend warrior. I love educating because when I explain to somebody what pain is and that it's actually like a check engine light, and it doesn't mean there's
Okay.
something wrong with this tissue, but that your brain has perceived a threat to that area, that just shocks people,
Oh, yeah.
and pain neuroscience is so new. So the fact that when I can educate somebody in pain and help open their eyes to something that wasn't taught in their curriculum that they don't know, it's really, really cool because the fact is almost every person that walks in has either anxiety, high stress, depression, some sort
Mhm.
of mental health thing going on. And if I can give them something that's going to help, even if just do my part from a pain standpoint, if I
Yeah.
can help them fix that, that's going to allow them to start taking care of those other.
But
those
any
other outlets.
celebrity or superstar
Oh,
you'd like to be a chiropractor to?
Oh, Logan and I talked about how fun it would be to be a chiropractor for some big superstar.
Yeah.
This sounds so lame. This is like a guilty pleasure, but
Mhm.
me and my best friend, we're huge Taylor Swift fans. Back when she was like country Taylor.
Yeah.
And so I always said, I was like, you know what? I would leave what I'm doing. I would drop everything and be a travel chiropractor for their
Well, you would
career.
have to do good. Otherwise, she'll write a song about
I
you,
know,
trashing
shoot.
you and your friend.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I don't want to do that.
So would you rather treat snowboarders or UFC fighters? body-wise? Which one would be more difficult? Which one for you would be the better challenge?
You know, the UFC fighter would be a lot more obvious
Yeah.
because I got smoked in the face. That's why
Yeah.
my neck hurts. Snowboarding, I've actually had to work with a couple snowboarders, and both of them were very non-traditional presentations. I would
Mm.
actually tell you that snowboarding would probably be more challenging because it's a lot the answer is a little more hidden.
Oh, it's
Sometimes.
subtle.
It's very subtle.
The hits they take from 22 feet up after, a double with a half twist or
Yeah.
something like that.
Well, and teaching just like
Yeah.
the proper core
Oh, yeah.
engagement, because sometimes your snowboarders, they're not very athletic sometimes. They're kind of, you look at them, you don't always
Yeah.
think that, oh, that guy snowboards. It's kind of just anybody off the street.
But
And
they got at that
it's
level, though,
still,
the
yeah.
core of their body's got to be
Oh,
there.
yes, but I notice a lot of core dysfunction in that population.
Really?
And so they're, rather than pressurizing their abdomen, they're sucking in, or they're doing these weirds. And it's a small sample size just from
Yeah.
what I've seen. But I think that would actually be harder than working with UFC fighters.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because you like finding
But
that
I'd
puzzle
love to work
piece.
with the UFC
Yeah.
fighters. That'd be fun. I'd be all in.
But you're looking for that puzzle piece. Like, where
Yes.
where do I have to look to find that last piece put right in the middle?
Yep,
So,
like one
right.
person's an easy puzzle, the next one's intermediate.
Yeah.
I like
Too
the
funny.
challenge.
All right, Morgan, we've enjoyed it today. Good luck with your practice. Glad you came down to Raleigh
Yeah.
and saw what life
Happy
is
to
like
be
down here. And glad you moved down for a boy who was happy to have you moving down here.
Yep,
So
it all worked out.
I'm glad. If you are having any kind of back problems, pain issues, pain management, joint management, athlete, anything like that, please go see Morgan at Askeland Chiropractic and Acupuncture. She will certainly help you. You learned a lot today on the way to talk through the pain and the issues people have. So we appreciate it very much. And we'll see you next week on Triangle BNI.
Thanks, Mike.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.